We're going to cover another mock draft. This one's a one-rounder. We're going to go every team pick by pick, but I'm going to do my analysis for fantasy football, where these players land and how they can produce results for your fantasy team for Dynasty Fantasy Football rookie drafts. But I'm going to cover all the picks, all the players, so take advantage, look and see who your team picked in this mock draft. And today we're looking at PFF, one of their mock drafts that they posted the other day. But before we take a look at this mock draft, you need to click that subscribe button, tap with the finger on your phone, click it with the mouse on your computer, because we're covering the NFL draft every single day, multiple times a day, covering mock drafts, doing dynasty rookie drafts, covering these players extensively. Click that button, stop missing out. But we're going to start things off with this mock draft from PFF. It's a one-rounder, but they got 2 picks in the second round at the end. Stay tuned to see what your team does in this mock draft. But we're working our way down the board here, and the first-round pick here is Caleb Williams, and that's pretty standard here. He's going to the Bears in almost every mock draft that I've seen, and I think that we're going to probably see that unless they make a deal or something happens. Caleb Williams, more than likely going to the Bears. If you disagree, or if you think he's not, or whatever, let us know in the comments below. But in this situation, if this happens, he's going to be the top pick in Superflex rookie drafts, and he's going to be highly regarded in Dynasty Fantasy Football, and he's going to hold a lot of value. He's already been locked in there throughout the process. Before draft season even started, he's not moving. He's going to be a high-priced quarterback in Dynasty Fantasy Football from the rip, no matter who picks him up, no matter who signs him. Caleb Williams is going to be up there. So let's move on to the next pick. You might already saw it, but we're looking at Drake Maye here. And what I think about Drake Maye going to the Washington Commanders is he's getting mocked there a lot. They may need more than just a quarterback. They may need just to trade down and add picks. But also, when you're up this high and you got a quarterback like this that's available, you go up and get your quarterback. It's him or Jayden Daniels. That's from an NFL perspective. From a Dynasty Fantasy Football perspective, on average per ADP, he's being drafted around the 103 in Superflex rookie drafts, putting him right behind Marvin Harrison Jr. In a league where people really value the quarterbacks. They hold quarterbacks over a barrel. He might be the second pick off the board. Doubtful to be the first overall pick unless someone really hates Caleb Williams. That might happen in 1 out of 5 to 1,000 leagues, but very doubtful. But he's going to hold some value in Superflex and 1 QB. It really depends on the benches and what's the waiver wire looking like in your league. Can you flip and flop quarterbacks off the waiver wire pretty easily in season? If so, you're probably leaning into the skilled players here. But he's going to be a young quarterback. He's going to the Washington Commanders. They do have some receiving options there, but they're going to have to allow him to develop. He's not really considered a prospect that you're just going to log into your lineup for fantasy football purposes and just hit immediately. You are going to have to go through some growing pains probably in year 1, year 2, maybe start of the year. Maybe he starts producing in the back half, but is a player that's going to be holding a lot of value in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Moving on to the next pick here. And what we're seeing up next is the Patriots going quarterback. In a lot of mock drafts, they go with Marvin Harrison Jr. or they go quarterback. I think they should be going quarterback and really overhauling this offense, retooling, rebuilding. And this starts with Jayden Daniels. And in Dynasty Fantasy Football, I know the market when it comes to the Patriots and the passing game, and a lot of people sour on that. I think you're going to be able to catch him at a decent price, but I think he's also going to be highly regarded in Superflex because he's the 3rd pick off the board. He's a quarterback. He is very productive last year. There's a lot of people who like him. He can push it downfield. He's also very talented. The market's going to not like him, and it's also going to like him at the same time. For NFL reasons, I think the Patriots need to retool. They need to restructure. They need to get some new blood in there. I think Jayden Daniels is a good option. Him or Drake Maye, whatever comes to him. I think quarterback's a great pick. That, trading back, I'll say that with a lot of players out there. But the Patriots going quarterback, I think this is a good look. Moving on to our next pick here coming off the board, and I bet you already guessed it, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Arizona Cardinals. He's getting mocked here in almost every mock draft. If not, he's going a little bit earlier to the Patriots. Not really falling much farther than this in mock drafts. Pretty much locked in as a top 5 pick at this moment. And he's going to hold his value because we're looking forward to him going to a place like this, like Arizona. He's going to be the second player off the board in Superflex. Maybe in some leagues, he's the 101. Maybe there are, because I've seen it in the comment sections in a few of my videos that some people are talking about taking him as the 101. Kind of like Bijan last year, taking him ahead of the quarterbacks because people have been waiting for Marvin Harrison Jr. to come out for the draft. They're probably going to do that in some leagues, and I would not be surprised. And he's a good player. He is one of those wide receivers that come out every so often. He's locked in there, a top-end prospect. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going to hold a ton of value in Dynasty Fantasy Football and redraft as well. Redraft, you may want to wait for him to simmer a little bit before he starts being productive. But in Dynasty, he's already going to hold value off the rip as one of the top wide receivers and value in all of Dynasty Fantasy Football. Well, we got to move on to our next pick. And we are very fantasy football heavy right now. Malik Nabers coming off the board to the Chargers. A good fit for the Chargers. I think Nabers a good fit for almost any team. NFL-wise, I think for fantasy, this is a great fit for him and Herbert. They're going to connect pretty well. He's very explosive. He can get downfield. He can make catches downfield as well. This is a very good wide receiver prospect. You do not get many wide receiver classes where you get 2 generational talents, 2 top-tier talents. And when I consider generational, I consider a player that has the upside where if they tap into that, they could be an all-time great. I think when some people say generational talent, they're really just talking the talk, and they're just saying this is a top-tier prospect that comes out once in a while. But when I identify his talent, I think his upside is through the roof, once-in-a-decade type of talent. And if he settles lower, you're still going to get a good player for fantasy football. He's going to hold value in Dynasty for a long time. I think we all know that. If you like him better than Harrison, I'm not going to argue with him. Do it. Do it because he is a good player. I'm not going to argue with that. Move on down, though, to the next pick. Now we're getting away from the fantasy football picks. Giants go offensive tackle. I said this in another mock draft when they selected Malik Nabers as the pick. I thought rebuilding the offensive line was a better look. So Giants go offensive tackle. Next, the Tennessee Titans also go tackle. You get some offensive line build for them. Help Will Levis out. Also, this is a deep offensive line class. Michael Penix to the Falcons. Kind of a sexy pick here. Penix didn't look good in the national title game. Was all right at the Senior Bowl. Wasn't over the moon, though. Wasn't the best quarterback there. I feel like this is a reach at quarterback. There's other positions you can lean into, but they do need a quarterback. So are you going to do this, or are you going to trade back and get your guy? Maybe if you trade back and you get one of the quarterbacks like Penix, I can be on board. I think this is a little high for him. In fantasy, considering he's getting top 10 draft capital, people are going to pump him up the board. In Superflex, he's going to be a first rounder, maybe in the back half if your league doesn't value him. Some leagues maybe a little bit higher. He's also going to have some weapons. I think he's going to be pumped up higher than the back half of the first. Now that I think about it, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, you got Bijan. You got some pieces there for him to succeed with. Can it happen? I don't know if he's going to go 8th overall, though. I just don't see that happening. But in this scenario, I think this is a good spot for him because you already got the pieces and you're getting tremendous draft capital. We're going to move on, though. Next, the Bears select Rome Odunze. He's paired with Caleb Williams. And with him being paired with Caleb Williams, that's a good pairing. Although you got 2 rookies now developing together. Rome Odunze is a top-tier wide receiver prospect. If he was in last year's class, he would have been one of the top wide receivers, would have been a first-round selection, probably would have been the first wide receiver selected. Probably would have been. That being said, going to the Bears, they do need wide receiver help, even though they got DJ Moore. I don't think anyone's going to argue against that. He can stretch the field. He can get downfield. He can allow DJ Moore to do more things and then lean into his fantasy production as he develops. That could be year 1. That could be the back half of the year 1. That could be growing into year 2. But there is some upside here. You will have to wait for that to marinate a little bit. I imagine, however, CJ Stroud and Tank Dell didn't, but that's also an anomaly because Bryce Young and Jonathan Mingo, they didn't hit it off instantly. That's something you got to wait for and see what happens. But the upside's there. You're drafting him early. You're drafting him around the middle of the first round after 3 quarterbacks come off the board, after the other 2 wide receivers come off the board. There are some people that like Odunze better than Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers. There is a camp for that. Him going to the Bears, I think this is a great pick NFL-wise. That being said, let's move on down. The Jets go offensive tackle. They lock that up. They're adding some more pieces there. Moving down. The Minnesota Vikings select Bo Nix. What do you think about that, Vikings fans, if you're here watching this, looking for this pick? They select Bo Nix. Bo Nix did not have a strong Senior Bowl campaign from what I hear, but also from what I hear was not as bad as what the clips suggested, that it was okay. It was all right, but it wasn't good enough for him to be warranted this high. Also, he had a good year this year. He's been good at Oregon. He was trending up going into the Senior Bowl, so does that really matter? Can we regain some steam going into the Combine? There's a lot to look at here. 11th overall, he should be going in the first round somewhere. Should be, due to him being a quarterback. Should be, but also one of these quarterbacks are probably going to drop because we got some sketchiness here at the quarterback position once the big 3 are off the board. Bo Nix does have some upside here. He can sling it downfield. And then when we look at this from a fantasy football perspective with the landing spot, it's never wrong to be paired with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. We got Hawkinson. This offense that moves the ball pretty quickly, one of the fastest paced offenses in the league. Nix, if he develops into the spot, this could be a big hit. Value-wise, considering he's there with Justin Jefferson and company, look for him to hold some value in Superflex rookie drafts. Look for him to get pushed up a bit. Are you buying it? It really depends on what the wide receivers are doing and what the running backs are doing in this mock draft with him going to the Vikings with top 11 draft capital because he is going to get an opportunity to compete. He is going to get an opportunity to play with some stud weapons. Move on down. Let's go to the next pick here. At 12, the Denver Broncos draft Dallas Turner from Alabama. Then the Raiders draft cornerback Nate Wiggins. Then the Saints go Jared Verse from Florida State. Colts go with Cooper DeJean from Iowa. Going on down, Seattle gets an interior defender. Going on down to Jacksonville. Another offensive tackle comes off the board. The Bengals draft Brock Bowers. He's not falling this far in the draft. Unless the NFL does not like his weight. He's a little bit smaller. They may want more of a blocking tight end. But considering his upside in the passing game, the speed, I think he's not getting this far down the board. When you look at this for fantasy football, people are going to be over the moon for this. This is the perfect landing spot. One of the perfect landing spots. They don't push it to the tight end, but they don't have a tight end like Brock Bowers, so you can't really say that. And this is an offense that might be moving on from T. Higgins. They need to add some upside to the offense here with him being gone. If he's gone, which he probably will be gone. Brock Bowers is a good fit for this team. I just don't see him falling all the way to 18. I just don't see that happening. We've been waiting for him to come out for the draft since his freshman season. I look for him to be like top 10. I really do. Unless the NFL doesn't like his size, that he's not a standout blocking tight end, I believe that he's really going to be a top 10 pick. I look for that. He's good at getting you yards after catch. He can really add some wrinkles to your offense. You're probably going to wait for him to develop a little bit, but still, I don't see him falling this far. For fantasy, lockdown top tier pick in rookie drafts. Up there with the top guys, depending on where you want them to be at. Top 5-ish in that range. Really depends on where the quarterbacks are going in Superflex. How you want to rank Nabers, Harrison Jr., Odunze. He's in that mix. You're going to see people want to push him up to top 3. I'm kind of fine with that with this landing spot because it's perfect. I'm fine with him going top 5. I'm just fine. I think this is a great spot for him. Moving on down to the next pick. Packers go cornerback. Buccaneers go defense. Cardinals go cornerback. Rams go offensive tackle. Steelers go cornerback. Dolphins go offensive tackle. Eagles go cornerback. Another wide receiver goes off the board. Brian Thomas. A lot of upside here. Perfect landing spot for him if they use him the way he's intended, because he gets a good average depth of target. He can get downfield. We talked about him last night. The thing about the Chiefs is the depth of the passing game really curtailed this year. We're seeing Rashee Rice get an ADOT of like 9 on a lot of games. If they push the field with Brian Thomas and allow him to be the playmaker he is, he has a ton of upside. He'd help Rashee Rice out a lot. Rashee Rice needs to start getting deeper too. They need to use him more correctly. He'd have more upside as well in a lot of weeks too in fantasy. He's going to catch that Chiefs privilege in Dynasty Fantasy Football. He's going to be bumped up to the middle of the first round for sure. He's already locked in there as a first round pick in rookie drafts. People are just trying to feel out where he's going to go in the draft process, round-wise, team-wise. First round pick to the Chiefs. Lock him in as a first rounder in rookie drafts, and I would love it. I would be drafting him up as one of my middle round picks as well. Going down, offensive line for Texans, defense for Lions, wide receiver for the Bills, Troy Franklin. And I think this is great for both parties, as Josh Allen loves to push the ball downfield. Troy Franklin is good at getting downfield. This is a perfect marriage, I think, for fantasy. You're locking Troy Franklin into the first round, and it's a battle between him and Brian Thomas, and that is a personal battle for me too, and it's going to be that for the industry as well. Really depends on who's cheaper in rookie drafts and who you want to get there and who falls to you and what do you want to pay. But I like both at these spots. I would want both of them on my team at these spots. If I could maneuver my way to get to these picks, I would happily do so. I think this is a great fit for fantasy. I think this is a great fit for NFL as well for the Buffalo Bills. But let's move our way down here to the next pick. Cowboys go offensive line, as they should. Niners go offensive line. It's deep at offensive line in this draft. Inside defensive line, Ravens. Second round. They just did 2 random second round picks. They like to do so. I don't know why. Carolina drafts Keon Coleman from Florida State. Getting Bryce Young, another wide receiver to work with here. And it's okay. I don't think it's the greatest landing spot for Keon Coleman. He has a trouble creating separation. He can do it, though. There is clips in his film where he does, and he can do it. He just needs to do it more consistently. He struggles at it at times. Defenders can get into his basket, but he is very strong at the catch point. Good ball skills. Maybe Young can really grow a pair of balls and just start throwing it up to him. Maybe we can get him being good in fantasy. I think NFL terms, there's a lot on the board here. There's a lot of talent. I don't know if you have to go wide receiver here. Let me know, Panther fans, if that's how you're feeling. I don't think you have to. Wide receiver's deep. You can probably wait a little bit later. It really depends. There's a lot on the board here. Offensive line, defensive line. There's a lot to play with. I don't know if you really have to do this, but I want to hear your opinions in the comments below. Browns go Tez Walker, and this is the last pick in their mock draft, and this is random. They must love Tez Walker, just have him randomly in here at a random pick. He stretches the field. He can get downfield and have a good ADOT. He showed that at North Carolina. He's got good ball skills. That pairs well with what the Browns have. That pairs well with Amari Cooper. That pairs well with Moore. Getting a field stretcher to stretch it out is good for football terms. For fantasy, maybe you got a deep ball specialist who can get you some splash plays here and there. Maybe that. But starting off early, you're going to have to wait a little bit for him to develop and for some of these older guys to start showing their age a little bit more. Amari Cooper looked good last year. They're going to continue to use him. Njoku stepped it up at the back half of the season. He's going to soak up targets. You're going to wait for Tez Walker to develop a little bit. But for NFL terms, and there's other players on the board, but they're skipping picks here in the second round. They're only doing 2 picks in the second round, so I can't really tell you. But for NFL terms, if they go Tez Walker, second, third round or something, a deep threat guy, helps stretch the field, can really help add some wrinkles to your offense. But that's the mock draft from PFF. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who you're trying to get in your Dynasty rookie drafts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.